Good morning, this is Debbie Fenn at the Charleston Library Society. Today we're going to be talking about book bindings from the 18th century, and I'm going to be discussing the book bindings with James Davis, who's our conservator bookbinder, and Dutch Reuter is filming us today. So we originally purchased the books unbound, and the Library Society required that they be bound in calf's leather, which was the quality binding of the day, or Moroccan or goat skin. The sheepskin was a cheaper, thinner type of leather, and it would not last very long, so they certainly required the calfskin on the Library Society books. It took about an average of a year for those books to get to us from the booksellers in London. But they required that the binding and the leathering be done in London before the books were sent to the Library Society. So initially they said Charlestown Library Society, and when the town was incorporated into a city in the late 1700s, they changed the lettering to Charlestown Library Society. An interesting note is the fact that what happened to books in the 20th century is that they used repair tape like this, which is the last thing you want to use. And also some of those beautiful leather bindings were taken off and they put library bindings on them. Now this was good for the purpose of researching, but it's certainly not as beautiful as these original leather bindings, which can be saved today. They can be conserved and brought back to their original beauty. So I'm going to have James talk a little bit more about the book bindings.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of examples here that illustrate some of the points that Debbie made, starting with this one, which shows how publishers would protect their books before they were handed over to the bookseller, where the bookseller would sell them unbound. They still needed some sort of protection, so this is a very early example from one of our members here, in which the book is covered in what was called a publisher's binding. It's a temporary paper binding, and this one still has it, which is fairly rare. So the intention of this would be that you'd go into a bookshop, you'd purchase this book, and then you'd take it to your personal bookbinder, and they would put it into your style binding, whether that was with calfskin, goat skin, whatever kind you preferred, and then had your own personal stamp put on it, like we did here at the Library Society. And talking about the different types of leather, I wanted to show some examples of that. Debbie mentioned that the most common for us was calfskin. And calfskin is a very high quality leather, typically. It's got a very smooth grain to it, which makes it easier to tool, to apply gold leaf. And that resulted in a less expensive price than the more luxurious goat leather. Goat leather is considered the highest quality of bookbinding leather, and it's got a very attractive, pebbly, deep grain to the skin, which makes it more difficult to tool, resulting in a higher price. As you can tell from this one, it was reserved for the most luxurious bindings. Finally, we have this very early example from our collection. This is Arabic dictionary, which was donated to us from the botanist Michaud. And it doesn't quite fit in the time period that we've been discussing here, but it's a great example of why the Library Society insisted on calf or Moroccan bindings. This is sheepskin, and as you can see, part of the oils that are in the skin of wool-producing animals called lanolin, it reacts with the leather and it causes it to peel, resulting in the top layer of the leather to come off, and looks quite unsightly even in this older binding. So that's an overall review of some books from our collection, how they were bound, how they came to us, and how people used them during that time period. So we appreciate you tuning in, and keep a lookout for our future videos.